Hey there everybody, Mazrock here, and today I want to discuss some of the class tree changes and how they kind of affect prot. There were some changes to the alpha tree that I'm kind of a fan of and kind of not a fan of. Let's go through and discuss this. Honestly, this entire thing has just been slowly getting nerfed every week, and I'm not a fan of this for prot. It might be upgrades for Fury and Arms, but it has definitely lost a lot of value for prot over time, and I'm not a super big fan of that, but we're going to discuss some things here where I would like to see some things going, where we're losing synergies, where we're gaining synergies, and where I think some mistakes are occurring. But, you know, there's a lot of things to love here. This here I still love. Like, don't get me wrong, I still love this, but there are some changes that we need to talk about. So, please like, comment, subscribe. It goes such a long way towards helping out the channel. I cannot believe how quickly we are getting to 4K subs. Oh my god, thank you so much, everybody. Flabbergasted by all of the support. There is a Discord if you wish to continue this conversation. There's a link down below. There's a Twitch link down below if you want to watch me stream, and as well, there's a Patreon link if you wish to support me directly, and I want to thank all of my patrons for all of your continued support. So, let's get into the class tree first and some of the changes that they made. We're not going to talk about the stances because we know for a fact that they are looking more into that. I'm just going to build kind of a generic tree that I know would be somewhat okay, but I don't want to, just because I want to easily get down here. Not that I'm building anything for any specific purpose. I'm just kind of going down and spending points, but there are some changes that I do absolutely want to talk about. And I need just a couple of more points. We'll take Seismic Reverb. We'll take Double Time. Dun bum 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 bum. 20, there we go. So, some of the changes that they made here... why are you doing this to me? Furious Blows now increases the auto attack speed by 5%. 1 point talent. You're going to get more Shield Slam procs, which is okay. That's nice. But honestly, this talent kind of now feels bad. Your auto attacks generate more Rage for protection. Now, this was 25% more Rage. This is a buff. I actually do like this buff. It's probably going to make War Machine worth pressing a little bit more, but whatever have you not. They do have a new talent row over here. Talent node. So you get Wrecking Throw, 45-second cooldown, no cast time, and so you hurl your weapon at an enemy, and you ignore their armor with that attack. That actually sounds really fun, and it increases damage to absorb shields by 500%. Or you can take Shattering Throw. Now, the reason they did this is probably PvP, because Shattering Throw will break through any immunities, Paladin Bubbles, Mage's Ice Blocks, you know, that sort of stuff. And this would just literally pop all of that. And on a 45-second cooldown, I can totally see that being insanely busted in PvP. Like, stupid busted. I can actually understand that. That's fair. And there's so few... like, especially in PvE environments, there's so few actual few immunities that you need to bust, where I'm having trouble thinking of one. I know there's a couple here and there that, like, it's hyper nichely useful, but most of the time in PvE content, Mythic Plus or raiding, you're dealing with absorb shields more than you're dealing with actual, like, boss immunities, because they pretty much don't exist. So Wrecking Throw in PvE is actually going to be a decent button to press, especially in situations where you know mobs are putting on absorb shields and things like that, and it not having a cast time and only being a 45-second cooldown is going to be a really fun button to press for PvE, sorry. And I think it's actually a good node, a good choice. Crushing Force Slam deals an additional 30% damage and has a 7.5% increased critical strike. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, so it goes up to 60%. Fucking, who's pressing Slam, man? Like, this is literally only useful for Arms Warriors. Like, these are dead. This is a dead talent for Prot and Fury, because Fury's not pressing Slam. They're not wasting Rage on Slam. And, like, I don't know. I don't like this at all. I think it's dumb. Crushing Force had really good potential with Shield Slam and all of this fun stuff, and they just kind of just massacred it. Is what it is. Concussive Blows, the cooldown of Pummel is now reduced by 1 second instead of 1.5 second, which, whatever. Successfully interrupting an enemy increases the damage you deal by 5% for 10 seconds. This can only occur once every 30 seconds, so basically every second kick. So 1, 3, 5, as long as you're kicking on cooldown. which is nice. Okay, like, that's fair. It's a decent note to take. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it's a nice little note to take. There still is this Cacophonous Roar and Menace one, which is iffy, whatever. You have the Stormbolt and Pain and Gain node, which is back. They were a node before. They were separated. Now they're a node again. Stormbolt is pretty much going to be your pick for PvE, like content, like Mythic Plus content. And Pain and Gain is going to be your rating one. As long as you don't need some sort of range stun for rating, you'll just take Pain and Gain. Then we have this 2-point node to Overwhelming Rage. This used to be 1 point for 30% max rage, which wasn't worth pressing as a Prot Warrior. It wasn't even worth taking this as a Prot Warrior at 1 point. It has no point at all in taking it at 2. Like, I think this is just stupid. I don't like it. Bad change. This, if this has any application to any DPS, please let me know. I know Fury, you're trying to burn Rage through Rampage. The moment you have enough, you Rampage. So I don't know if you need an extra 30 Rage in your thing. Maybe you want to pool Rage as arms because, like, Rage generation's a little wonky. I don't know. But, like, this is supposed to be the arms tree. I don't get what's supposed to be happening here through... I just don't get it. You have Titanic Throw, which is now a singular talent. Throw your weapon at the enemy, causing attack, power, physical damage to it and 5 nearby enemies, and it generates... and it generates high threat. I actually do like pressing Heroic Throw, and pressing Titanic Throw to start an entire pull at range is actually, this could be a fun button for setting up pulls. I'm not going to lie, I actually do like this ability, and as long as it's not too hard to get, it could be a fun talent node to put in. Then we have the middle row of the middle talents here, Armored to the Teeth. You gain strength equal to 3.5% of your armor value. This was like 5%, but it was a little busted, so it just went through some tuning, which is completely fair. Bounding Stride, and we have a placeholder talent here that we don't know what the choice is going to be. Blood and Thunder, which, oh man, Blood and Thunder, and Crackling Thunder is still a node. Seismic Reverberation. This did just get a little nerfed, I think. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, on the alpha, like, the Revenges were proccing off the Revenges and just dealing, like, absolutely stupid, crazy damage. And if I'm not mistaken, that got fixed. Double Time, one-handed spec with Frothing Berserker, which you're probably just going to take... Yeah, one-handed spec specializations for Prot and Frothing Berserker. Prot's going to gain pretty much nothing out of this because... Oh, well, you do have Revenge. But the thing is like, so Revenge has a 20% chance to immediately refund 20% of the rage spent. 20% of 20 is not a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, 20% of Rampage is a lot. Mortal Strike has a higher rage count, and Cleave as well. I'm not sure what those are, but those could be a little bit more useful for those DPS specs. But, like, Revenge, 20%, like, oh, I have a 20% chance to get back 4 rage? Okay, I'd rather just have 5% leech and increase all damage by one-handed weapons by 5%. Like, that's not even a choice, right? And then, of course, we saw Massacre, where it is now. Now, they did make some changes to these here, which I find is whatever. There's still a 2-point talent node, but all they do is increase the stat by 1.5%, and not even twice. Like, you don't get 3% haste for 2 points, you just get 1.5% haste, which, why? How game-breaking, how broken would Warrior be with having 2 talent, by spending 4 talent points and gaining 3% haste and 3% crit? Like, that's not going to make Prot Warrior OP. Like, I can't, like, the talent point allocation there, to me, is absolutely wild. They could have just put it at 1.5% haste, and because it was 2 and then 2 for the second point. Why not just put it 1.5 and then another 1.5 to get 3 crit and 3 haste? This, to me, I mean, whatever. There's just some questionable choices here that I just don't understand, right? Especially because the tree was in such a good place, right? So we have the increased armor by 30% here, which goes really, really nice with Armor to the Teeth, because you're gaining the strength benefit of having that extra armor. And then we have the stamina node here, which is what it is. Spear of Bastion and Elysian Might Piercing Verdict has not changed. They did move these dual wielding and 2 weapon spec choices, which were here And here, they did move them towards the inside, and bitter immunity is still the same. Avatar, Unstoppable Force, and Signet. Now, they did talk about making some Signet changes to Prot, so that's something to kind of look out for as it kind of comes along. Shockwave is still here, which... This is one of those, they're going to die on this hill, and it's a bad decision to die on that hill. So they do have... what we'll do here, we'll just do this, we'll do this, and this, just to get talent points to go through. Rumbling Earth is still there, and they are implementing a placeholder talent. We'll see how this works out. I kind of honestly hope that the placeholder talent here is it changes Shockwave into Ancient Aftershock, because I would like to have Ancient Aftershock back. It's a fun ability. And would actually warrant making this, putting this on this row. Because right now, this Shockwave is not Thunderous Roar, is not Avatar, and is not Spear of Bastion, and it never will be. If you're giving us 4 total options, and those are the other 3, and then there's Shockwave, Shockwave is never going to get picked. Plain and simple. We do not have the talent points to even want to think about speccing into Shockwave when things like Avatar, Spear of Bastion, and even Thunderous Roar exist. So making this talent point, swap it over to Ancient Aftershock, could be a lot of fun, and actually maybe make you want to play this in certain settings, but that's just whatever. Then we have the change the Thunderous Roar. Now, from what I've seen from Alpha, people weren't even speccing into this, because it wasn't as good as Spear of Bastion at 45 seconds. Now, it did get a like 500% increase attack power buff, which is great, but it got a 1.5 minute cooldown. Why do I want a 1.5 minute cooldown when I could have a 1 minute cooldown with Spear of Bastion? People don't want longer cooldowns. People want fun buttons to press more often, right? Thunderous Roar, and this is something where I think they're really missing the mark here. It could be a really fun playstyle, and you have synergies for this fun playstyle on the other tree, right? With Blood Surge and Bloodborne. You have these options to make this fun, but you're actively not making this fun, and that I don't like, right? Because I would love a 45-second put a big bleed on something, and then with the talent node below, you could go with Thunderous Aftershocks, causing a knockdown effect, which is great, or with a placeholder talent here, you could make the bleed last longer. Plain and simple. Make the bleed last longer. Instead of 9 seconds, add another 5 seconds onto it, giving you more synergies with Bloodborne and Blood Surge. But you lose those synergies from that bleed from Thunderous Roar if it's at a 1.5 minute cooldown. I don't want a bleed at a 1.5 minute cooldown. It's all going to come down to tuning at the end of the day. It absolutely is only going to come down to tuning, so that's something that we have to watch out for. But those are my thoughts on Thunderous Roar. I was really excited when Thunderous Roar came out as a talent option, because with the proper tuning, it could be competitive and could be fun with Spear of Bastion. But at a 1.5 minute cooldown, this now has to deal an absurd amount of damage. And I mean absurd to contend with Spear of Bastion and Elysian Might. And that kind of sucks, right? Because you know this isn't going to be tuned enough to deal absurd damage. Like, all you need to do is, like, what would happen here? So, to make this equal, 45 seconds to a 1 minute cooldown for Thunderous Roar, give it about the same initial damage as Spear of Bastion, or, about with the dot. Like, that's easily tunable, right? And then you have the point node for the bleed or whatever have you not, right? You could do, like I said, placeholder can make the bleed last longer, hit harder, whatever have you not. You could do some sort of interaction with that, but you have to make it so the bleed contends with the amount of damage that you can get through Elysian Might. And if you're not doing that, you're kind of missing the point, I think, because the thing with these trees is you want to give options and choices and, not make it so just take this because this is bad. right? Which is kind of the shockwave idea right now. But you could take Thunderous Roar, and it could contend with Spirit Bastion, and it could be a lot of fun, but the cooldown needs to go back down on this. It doesn't need to hit as hard as maybe it does now. I don't know. I don't have alpha to test the exact damage capabilities. Maybe it needs to deal this exact damage and be brought down to a 1 minute. But having these here are two very fun, different playstyles that you could opt into either or and have a lot of fun with and customize. You could have the aftershocks, which is could be super fun for more stops in Mythic Plus, or just straight up more bleed damage if that's what you want to do, which could give you more rage and more synergies with Bloodborne and a Blood Surge, and you could really go into like a bleed warrior build if you don't want to play Spear of Bastion, because, you know, we've been playing Spear of Bastion for 3 years aside from Necrolord for the last season and a half, so I don't know. Just, you know, these are some thoughts and stuff that I have about it. I think it's a shame that they're going on a 1.5 minute cooldown for Thunderous Roar. I'd be completely cool with seeing the damage of this brought down a little bit to be more in line with Spear of Bastion at 1 minute and get to press this more often than 1.5 minutes. We need to start getting away from longer cooldowns. And I know 1.5 minute isn't a super long cooldown, but I mean, this also isn't Thunderous Roar isn't my, hey, this is where I deal. Like, Avatar is a 1.5 minute cooldown, and you can bring this down to like 45 seconds with anger management. Why on earth do I want Thunderous Roar at 1.5 minutes? These don't contend with these at all right now, and that kind of feels bad. We do have some changes to the Prot Warrior tree. I'm just going to kind of build out. Nothing here is going to be hyper accurate, so please don't. Yeah, I think they're talking about the Devastator node. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about that another time. Sorry, not a little bit later. This choice node still feels funky, but whatever. I've heard that Spike Shield actually does do damage now, which is really nice. One of the changes that they made is Ravager is now a 1.5 minute cooldown instead of the 45 second that it is on live. Why? Why? Why a 1.5 minute cooldown? Why are you increasing cooldowns for these abilities? Like, I don't understand. Like, is it because you want to make shield charge more worth pressing? And because they did say that they did actually increase the damage of shield charge by a lot, which is fine. I'm completely cool with them doing that. But stop trying to shoehorn something from happening, right? And this is kind of the same thing where I think this is the Shockwave idea, where they don't want to put Shockwave in the middle row because everybody's going to take it because it's too powerful. But the thing is, yeah, sure, that's powerful, but it's not Thunderous Roar, Avatar, or Spear of Bastion power, and in no world is it ever going to be unless you crank the damage on this to H and Aftershock levels of current Night Fae abilities. It's just not even a competitive choice. It's not a talent that anybody's going to be putting anything in at all. So that just sucks. Ravager at a 1.5 minute cooldown just sucks. And I know, like I said, they toyed with removing the minimum range off shield charge, which they didn't do. They buffed it to hell, but they didn't. And instead, they increased, to make shield charge a more viable talent choice, they nerfed the crap out of Ravager. I don't like the nerfing the crap out of something to make another option feel better, which is what I also think with Thunderous Roar. That thinking is not good. I don't like it, and that thinking needs to stop. Okay? Buff other things to make it as good as, and don't nerf things. Because Ravager does not deal enough damage on its own to warrant a 1.5 minute cooldown. It is an amazing threat generator, yes, but a 1.5 minute cooldown feels bad. Absolutely feels bad. And then you have another capstone here to make it last 2 extra seconds. Why? 1.5 minute cooldown for 14 seconds, sorry, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 14 seconds of Ravager? No, I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. I don't like some of these changes. I love the change to shield charge. And in all honesty, if this deals competitive damage to Ravager, and actually, for it to be worth it pressing over Ravager, it needs to deal a lot more damage than Ravager, which is what you want to see because you're not generating anywhere near as much rage. The amount of rage that Ravager generates in AoE should be offset by having lower rage with shield charge, lower shield lower rage generation with shield charge, but how much higher damage with shield charge. So you can get that initial burst, you get a good stun, great. And even then, if they're worried about the stun on this, on shield charge for 4 seconds being abused at minimum range, make it, you could literally put a caveat in here where everything else happens as normal, but if you use the ability at 8 yards, you also gain a 4-second stun. That could literally be the fix to make this more balanced and remove the minimum range, which I would be fine, but murdering Ravager to make shield charge more viable feels bad. Murdering Thunderous Roar to make Shockwave more viable, it feels bad. That sort of mentality has to stop, and because Thunderous Roar has a 1.5 minute cooldown, you immediately lose any want or need to take Bloodborne. Increasing the damage of Rend could be a lot of fun, and it could be something that you want to do, because Rend is definitely a good ability that you definitely want to press a bunch. But the problem is you have so many talent options that you want to take already that to get Bloodborne and to get that damage increase, you're literally foregoing all of these capstones here just to get Bloodborne, to increase Rend damage, which, depending on how these 2 capstones feel, you might actually do and should not be a viable... you should want to spend more down here, and by them nerfing this, I think they're overvaluing how good some certain things are and undervaluing other things. That it might not be the play at all, right? You might do something like this. I don't know. I don't like these nerfs. I need some reversions back, and I need them to change some things back around. I'm okay with them toying and tuning. Like, I understand there was definitely some things that were pretty broken about Prot and Alpha. I totally get that, but I don't like the original version of this tree. And let's take Die by the Sword away from the idea, right? Let's remove from our minds that Prot Warrior was ever going to get Die by the Sword. That was an exciting thought, but was never actually going to happen. Prot Warrior has lost so much since that original tree, and it's starting to be like, okay, every time they make changes, and I'm like, what's Prot Warrior losing now? Okay, great. That sucks. My original excitement for this tree was so high, and it's diminishing with every single new build they're putting out, and I don't like that. Why are you nerfing? Why are you destroying? Right? Buff up. Buff up to make the playstyle fun, and then tune down, right? Because it's not about damage, it's about playstyle. If you have fun with the playstyle that's being given to you, you can tune the numbers. That's not difficult. If these two are competitive, you can tune those numbers. Be like, okay, Spear Bastion's just overperforming a little bit. We're going to give it a nerf by 2% to make it more in line with Thunderous Roar. But the first thing you need to do is make these both competitive with one another. If you want to do that with Shield Charge and Ravager, you need to make them competitive with one another by buffing them up and then tuning the numbers down. Just my thought. What do you guys think about these Prot Warrior trees? I know I've been ranting and talking for a long time. Thank you very much for listening. I will be updating you as all of the changes and everything's occur. I hope you guys are having a good one, and I do hope that you're excited for Dragonflight as much as I am. I know by the end of this video you're probably like, oh man, he's probably hating Dragonflight. I'm not. I'm actually really excited, and I'm still probably going to be maining Prot Warrior, although I really hope some of these changes they just made get reverted. I really do. But thank you very much for listening. Have yourself a good one. Bye.